You're really capturing what world-class supply looks like when we see it. We can talk in principles about, a true partnership relationship and being open, and sometimes it sounds as though it's a very woolly kind of, we let the suppliers get away with things, but in fact you're inviting the suppliers to do what they're best at. If you've got a print stock supplier, they know what print stock is about, otherwise they wouldn't be in that business.
That's their
for too long.
competency, absolutely.
Yep, and that's what they've got to bring to you. So Scott, one of the areas that's of increased significance, certainly over the last couple of years, has been the whole issue of addressing the environmental impact of supply chains and how we establish sustainability as an ingrained part of our decisions and our supply chain management. Can you tell me a little bit about Intuit as an organisation and its view of the environment, and then we'll talk a little bit more about the specifics of how that spreads out into the supply chain.
Great. So Intuit has launched a program called Intuit Green, which is focused on sustainability. It began with passion from our employees to operate in a responsible manner as it relates to the environment. And we had grassroots efforts around recycling paper and batteries and wanting to conserve electricity. And all of that is great, and it's important to be able to act locally. But when you think about the impact of 8,000 people, it really is overshadowed by the impact that Intuit believes we have in working through our tens of millions of customers. So you think about the significant number of people that file their taxes through TurboTax, whether online or on their desktop. You think about the millions of small businesses that use Intuit products and services. And being able to develop offerings which will help educate our customers on their environmental footprint and to take actions is very exciting to Intuit. We also have a long history of helping people operate and to run their businesses in an environmentally friendly fashion. You think about our e-file capability in TurboTax. You think about electronic order placement and invoicing within QuickBooks, electronic bill pay in Quicken, and our online banking solutions, taking a lot of paper out of the mail stream. In the next 3 years, our goal is to prevent 1 million metric tons of CO2 equivalent from entering the environment and eliminating 1 billion pieces of paper from the mail stream through these products and services. When I start thinking about sustainability through a supply chain perspective, there are two major thoughts that I have. One is that we have to continue to drive standardization and waste elimination through our physical supply chain. And we're working very closely with major retailers to reduce the size of our environmental footprint, to be more efficient in our transportation. You think about, millions of copies of TurboTax crisscrossing the U.S. In preparation for tax season. How do we do that and minimize our environmental footprint, both in the production and the transportation? We're finding that more and more often we are delivering tax product electronically, and we're also seeing the growth of online users working through our data centers. And I'm really proud of the results that we've achieved in that area. But the second way that I look at sustainability through the supply chain is in this connected services world, being as efficient as possible in the operation of our data centers and providing these online services in a responsible way.
Yeah. How do you go about measuring? If you've set targets, how do you go about measuring against those targets?
We start with the baseline. So we hired a firm based out of San Francisco to do what's known as a level 3 evaluation, which is our carbon CO2 equivalent footprint, both for our own operations as well as the energy and carbon that we consume, but starting back at the paper mills. If you think about the paper that's generated for all of these checks and forms that I described, so in the cardboard point of sale displays, we included all of that in our footprint. The travel of our employees, the commutes, and the effect of employee commuting patterns. We take addresses of our employees and plot that against where their home location is, where their Intuit location is, and we begin to calculate commute patterns for all of our employees. And from that, we were able to develop our baseline footprint, and we now have a goal to eliminate 15% of our waste and carbon footprint over the next 3 years. Just in the last 6 months, we've reduced travel by 28% because people understand now how much carbon we are emitting. Not only is this great for the environment, but it also reduces our expenses and it helps with work-life balance, so you don't have to be traveling as much.
And it starts to change the culture of working at Intuit, if that is possible.
Simon, especially in an engineering, analytically biased company like a software development firm or a connected services firm like Intuit, that measurement and describing specific goals and being able to feedback to people the effect of their behavior is extremely motivating. I mean, imagine if we were to just say, cut travel in half. People go, well, why?
Yeah.
And when we can show that travel, together with energy usage, are the two primary drivers of carbon emissions at Intuit, people then get it.
Yeah. It's an interesting insight into some of the views about leadership, about how do we get people to follow. And one view of leadership is, well, you've got to make sure that people are going to follow you. And what you're talking about, I think, is a really profound lesson, one I always enjoy hearing from you, which is that it's not about me standing up and saying, you know, I've got the answer, you follow me. It's let's look at what we're all trying to achieve, and let's look at how we're going to get some benefits from this together. And that way you discover a lot more about the benefits that may arise, and more importantly, you may find an alternative way of operationalizing, which comes back to what you're saying about the supplier relationship.
I think as a leader, it would be foolhardy, approaching arrogant to think that I have all the answers, and that's why we have hundreds of people in our Intuit Green site teams generating ideas, observing opportunities to eliminate waste. And my job is to empower and to recognize and to make sure that action is taken based on those observations. And the same is true in supplier management. People will see opportunities to extend a relationship. They will see performance trends that need to be addressed, both positive and negatively. And I trust the owners of those relationships to draw out the opportunity.
It's a great lesson, Scott, and one that we're always trying to share, and I think what you've shared with us today is going to be another opportunity for us to at least promote why building closer collaborative relationships with our internal and external supply chain, seeing the role of leadership, as you say, to empower, support and guide. I think these are really powerful lessons and great message. Thank you very much, Scott.
My pleasure. Thanks, Simon.